What is going on, everybody? It is Monday, November the 15th, and that means it is, of course, time for my News Radar. Let's start off this episode of News Radar with an Apple-related topic, because there was a statement made by Apple's software chief that I think has stuck in the craw of a handful of people. It's something that I actually read. It's actually been November the 3rd. It's been about 9 days ago, but I've been thinking about it off and on and trying to decide what I wanted to say about this statement, and I think I finally have enough in my head to say. What am I talking about here? Well, this article from The Verge does have the scoop. Sideloading is a cyber criminal's best friend, according to Apple's software chief. So let's do some quick background here. So on an Android device, sideloading is something that you can do. If you're uninitiated, if you do not know what in the heck I am talking about, this is what I mean. On Android, you can do some pretty interesting and crazy stuff. Typically, if you want to download a new application on your Android smartphone of choice, well, you would go to the Google Play Store, right? And likewise, on your iOS device, you would just go to the Apple App Store and download whatever it was you needed. But on Android, you're not restricted to just that. In fact, you can go online via Google search and find what is called an APK file, and you can install that thing. On my Android device, I could simply Google Amazon App Store, and right here I've got the option to download this file. You're going to see this thing download, and I can just go ahead and install it. It gives you instructions on exactly how to do it. I can install it just as easy as that once I follow those very simple instructions, and now I've actually installed an application that did not come from the official sources, from the Google Play Store. In fact, this is a whole new app store full of apps and games that are curated and run by Amazon. And a lot of these don't even require the Google Play services, if I'm remembering correctly. This is a great thing to be able to do on Android. It opens up the possibilities to any manner of thing, because the apps in the Google Play Store are apps that Google wants you to see. They are approved by Google. Well, perhaps there are apps out there, and look, some of them may be sketchy, right? Some of them may be of the adult variety. Some of them may be who knows what, but they're out there. Just like on your Windows computer, you can go download and install whatever you want. Now, you are taking some risk by doing this. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're not, that there's no risk of just installing an APK file from anywhere on the internet. Now, granted, when you install an APK file from the internet, Android's going to ask you to give the app that's doing the installing, in that case, it was my Edge browser, you got to tell it, yeah, you have permission to install things, and then you got to click install anyway. So you're ticking the box that says, I am taking life into my own hands. I'm taking this risk, and once you've agreed to that, it's open, just like I said, on your Windows PC, where you can download anything, and it may be a great application. It may be a virus of some sort. It may be stealing your information. All of these things may be true, or it may be great. Who knows? Well, in Apple, you don't really have that as an option. And in fact, they think that sideloading is a cyber criminal's best friend, because the only thing Apple can think of when it comes to sideloading is, of course, crime, and that's so far from being the truth. I'll give you one really good example here of a way that it's not crime. How about when Apple removes Fortnite from their App Store and you can't download it anymore? Well, guess what? The Play Store did the same thing, and you know what? It didn't matter at all, because you could still install Fortnite. It didn't matter. You didn't need to go through the Google Play Store to get the Epic Game Store and then to download Fortnite. You could just go to their website. It didn't matter. Didn't affect anything at all. So let's be honest. When Apple says sideloading undermines security and puts people's data at risk, that is not explicitly false. Because like I said, you got to be careful with what you install. But that's not the only thing it does. It also removes some of the power and control from Apple and the App Store and puts it back in your hands. Now, with great power, of course, does come great responsibility. Thanks, Uncle Ben, for that little gem. But they can't paint this as explicitly, exclusively, we are protecting you from yourself. No. I think many people don't want to be protected from themselves. I think most of us, a lot of us, would rather have the freedom. And look, Why not make it just a box you can tick, right? You go to install an app and it pops up and says, warning, this is not an Apple approved software. Do not proceed if you are not willing to take this risk. And then you can say, hey, I'm an adult. Let me do what I want to do. They could easily implement the same thing that Android does, but they don't do it because it's not because they're trying to protect you. It's because they're trying to protect their image of not having viruses and things like that. And they're trying to control you. They're trying to make sure the only thing you can get is stuff from the Apple App Store because they want to have that stranglehold grip on every bit of software so they can extract as much money as humanly possible from everyone's wallets, not just your own. And I'll tell you right now, this is one of the biggest reasons I will never daily drive, probably will never own an Apple device. I have no interest in using a device who thinks of me and treats me like an imbecile. So let's take a quick news break and let's do something kind of fun. Let's do a quick earbud unboxing. I know I just did this, but we got another set of cool earbuds. They're inexpensive and they're shockingly good for the price. Let me pass this thing over to Shane from another timeline, and then I'll be back after he's done. Hey, thanks, other timeline Shane. This Shane has a fun, quick little unboxing and maybe a quick first impression for you of another set of earbuds. It's not been that long now since I did the same thing here in a news radar for the Palm Buds Pro, and now a company called SoundPeats, which I gotta admit I didn't know really anything about at all until they reached out to me and they said, hey, we want you to check out a set of our new earbuds. These are the SoundPeats Air 3s. Now, I don't know anything about these things really other than the fact that they are about $49. They're supposed to have pretty decent specs and things like in-ear detection, noise cancellation, and they're $50. Can these things possibly be any good at all? Let's crack them open. I'm going to pop them in and we're going to do a quick first impressions. I'm going to tell you what I think. First off, like I said, thanks to SoundPeats for sending these things over, but this is not a sponsored video. These would be my real, actual opinions. Let's unbox it. So you see I've got here my Liberty Air 2 Pros and my Palm Buds Pros there on the table. I'm going to kind of have them there as a quick comparison. We've got our box here. SoundPeats says on the side. Looks like these are not ones that have the gel inserts, right? These are like AirPods. They're just going to kind of sit in your ears. I'm not so sure how I'm going to feel about that. I've actually never had any earbuds in my entire life that fit that description. So we're going to find out if I like that or if I hate that. I got to tell you, the box, I mean, look, this is a $50 set of earbuds, but this is not a super premium experience unboxing, but it doesn't need to be because if they're $50 and they sound good, no one's going to care. Those are quite small. What do we have in here? Is this maybe some kind of like a cable, perhaps? Some sort of charging implement? It is, and of course, it is USB Type-C, so good on SoundPeats for keeping that true, even though they're only, as I've said about 237 times so far, $49.99. Let's get all this crap back in here. Hopefully I won't need much as far as the instructions go, but we're going to have them out here just in case I do, because I am known to occasionally be of low intellect, so I may need them here to figure this out. Let's pop this open. How does this feel? Well, this is really, really small. About as small as those guys, the Palm Buds, but even thinner than the Palm Buds. Might they even be lighter? I've told you guys that was like my favorite feature of the Palm Buds, how light the things were. We got to do some weighing here, all right? Let's turn this thing on. And let's do these first, just so you can get a perspective here, right? 61 grams down to 37 grams, and the SoundPeats are 31 grams. They're actually even lighter than the Palm Buds Pro. Let's pop them open. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Ooh. That's got a nice feel opening. I know that's a dumb little thing, but it feels better than the Palm Buds. Now, I don't know if they can quite handle that maneuver, but that's not too bad. What about the buds themselves? They are quite small. What do they weigh? 3 grams, I believe. That puts us in the realm of the Palm Buds, which are also 3 grams. So we're doing very well as far as that goes. USB Type-C, as I said there, to charge. And the buds themselves, see, this is the same problem I had with the Palm Buds. I can hardly get these things out of their little canister. They're hard to get a hold of. There's just not much there to grab. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how these things are going to feel in the ear. Look at that. You can just kind of flip it forward. Ooh, like a like an old flip phone. All right, we're going to pop these things open. We're going to try and pair a new device. Let's hold this down for a second till maybe it's going to blink. It is now blinking. SoundPeats Air 3 are now there. Let's go ahead and click on pair. We're going to click pair, and we're done. We are fully paired up and ready to go. I guess now it's time to let's check out the fit real quick and see how these things feel. Like I said, there's no ear tips on them, right? It's just like that. There's no rubber there. They're just going to sit in the ear. I gotta tell you, I'm a little skeptical that these things are gonna like sound good and stay in place that way without having some sort of seal. I'm also curious as to how noise canceling is going to work, because you get a seal with rubber and that's going to create some passive noise cancellation right there automatically. We're not gonna have that with something like these, but hey, maybe I'm going to be shocked. Let's go ahead and pull up some music. And of course, I like to use Hook by the Blues Travelers. Very dynamic song. And that's what we're going to go with first here. Let's listen to some music and see what it sounds like. And first blush, hey, that's not bad. That is not bad at all. Let's see if I can get the controls here. So it looks like tapping on the buds once is going to change the volume. A double tap is track forward, track backwards. Triple tap, I think, is supposed to trigger the assistant. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3. What's the forecast for tomorrow? Actually, I'm wrong. I think a double tap on either one is play pause. Correct. Okay. You have to touch and hold for 1.5 seconds to skip track back and forth. That is working fine. A triple tap this way is supposed to trigger a game mode, which I guess is like a low latency mode. I'm not really sure. Now, I'm not sure here what we mean by noise canceling. There's no option. Game mode definitely isn't any kind of noise cancellation. What about in-ear detection? That's working well. Set it back in there. Starts playing again. Okay, so best I can tell here, despite the fact that it says here noise cancellation, I guess they're meaning that the mics are noise canceling for phone calls, not for actual noise cancellation in the real world, like with you wearing them. So that's not a feature you're going to get. And for $49, I guess I shouldn't have expected that. It did sound kind of crazy to hear that in the first place. But I will say that these things are quite small. I'm going to do the pocket test here real quick. Let's see how that looks and feels. They're tiny. They're absolutely tiny in the pocket, way smaller than even the Palm Buds Pro, which was a good feature. As for the fit, I mean, they just feel loose because they're not in my ear, but they're not falling out, right? So that's just the way that they're supposed to feel. They're just different. They don't have those rubber tips in there. The sound quality is honestly pretty good. I'm actually quite impressed. I would put them right there with the Palm Buds and right there below the Soundcores. Now, the Soundcores are the best sounding earbuds I have. They sound tremendous, so they're not in that realm. But they sound pretty good, actually. And I'm curious, is there noise bleed? Can you hear this? Mike's not picking up anything, at least on that. So I'm going to have to listen to it when I'm editing to see if you're able to hear that. But I mean, all in all, for $49, you're not going to get proper noise canceling. But you get a low latency mode. You get pretty good audio quality. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like having rubber shoved up in your ear canal, you could do a lot worse than these things. I'm actually pretty impressed with the sound quality. Let me try another song just because maybe I'm crazy. I'll try some Billie Eilish, right? See, I mean, if this sounds good too, I'm gonna be pretty impressed. And let's crank this volume. They get loud. They get very loud. They get obscenely loud. I cannot believe how loud these things get. That is like hearing damage level loud. Guys, these things are pretty legit. Don't consider this a full review, but the SoundPeats Air 3, pretty legit. Thanks, Other Timeline Shane. Now let's end this episode off with a pretty interesting poll result here on Reddit. So, Reddit user Damski748 put up a poll about 4 days ago and said to the people out there who bought Surface Duo 2, if you knew before buying it what you now know, having it for this amount of time, would you still buy the thing? And this is a really interesting question. And I think for me, it was an interesting question because if I'm being honest, after the experience I had with you, I was unsure how I felt. And if I'm being completely honest, if not for the fact that I did this YouTube thing and I knew I needed to cover it, I don't know that I would have bought Duo 2. It was expensive, and that one burned me. You know, I was using a Z Fold for the last several months because of what Duo did to me, how it performed, right? So I don't know that I would have bought Duo 2, but I know I needed to. And I knew I needed to cover it for you guys and gals out there, so I bought it. My vote was yes, I would buy it again. If I knew then what I know now, I actually would have gone into it with more excitement. I would have actually been more willing to buy it than I actually was at that point where I had some reservations. Now, looking back, I'm super happy that I have this thing because it's doing so much better for me than I expected it to. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but the general performance, the lack of bugs and so forth that I'm experiencing, now, I'm not discrediting people out there who say they have bugs. I believe you. Trust you. I'm sure you do. But my experience has been really good. And keep in mind here, sometime this week, I will have a review update, like a 4-week, 1-month update, to my review, a review update, a long-term review maybe is what I'm going to call it. And I'm going to get, into this much more in a deep way. But that's where I'm at. And I was curious to see where the community would be. And if you look at this with 232 votes, 164 voted yes, and 68 said likely not. And that, I think, is relatively pleasant because sometimes we get a device and we're super jazzed up about it. And after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks go by, that immediate rush of endorphins has waned and we feel pretty like whatever about it. We look at that phone that used to really get us excited and we go, yeah, it's okay, I guess. But that doesn't seem to be happening a ton here, right? This is a little more than double the people that said they probably wouldn't buy it again said that they would. I'd love to know what this looks like for other devices, for the Z Fold and things like that. I don't know if this is high or low levels of regret, but this is actually better than I was thinking it would be because a lot of times we get this sort of confirmation bias in a sense that all we hear are negative things, right? The people that own Duo 2 and are having no problems, that it's working really well for, well, they're not likely to chirp up and say anything, to chime in and say, all good here. There's just nothing to report. So the people that we hear from are the people that are having problems. So that's how the echo chamber kind of gets started sometimes. So just an interesting result. And I want to know from you guys as well. If you bought Duo 2, where are you? Would you buy it again now knowing the things that you know? If you knew them then, how would you have felt going in? Would your excitement have gone up or down? How has it met or exceeded or not met your expectations going in? And if you are someone who is having no problems, actually let me know this time, okay? Let me know, like, hey, all good here. I'm just curious to see what the response to this would be. But at the end of the day, most Duo 2 purchasers in this poll who responded are not regretting their purchase. And I think that's a pretty good place to be, especially considering how incredibly negative a lot of the reviews have been. And it just goes to demonstrate how reviews oftentimes do not reflect the actual experience of the broader general public. So guys, stay tuned for my next News Radar, which does come every Monday and Friday. Thanks for making it to the end of today's video. Thanks for hitting that subscribe button or that join button, becoming a member. Thank you so much to the several of you who have done that as of late. Stay tuned for more coverage just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.